I want you to take us back to this PPRN.
Okay.
Explain for my audience here on the Dutch side what it really is. Why our brothers and sisters on the northern side feel the way they feel, that they had to take to the streets, burning cars, etc.
Yeah.
It's got to be something important for them.
Yeah. It's complicated. It could be long, but I'm going to put it in a nutshell, explain it the best I can in a very short way. So it's a prevention plan for natural risk. This is something that exists since Lewis. After Lewis in '95, I think in 2001, I think it is, that they implement something called this PPRN, okay? But it exists in other places. We didn't have one in St. Martin. So because Lewis was so devastating, they said, okay, they need something, a prevention plan for natural risk so that they can have some guidelines for next hurricane, okay? So, and then it's being revised in 2011. Now, Irma came, and what they said, the state, is that they noticed that where they were considering not to be dangerous because of the waves and the flooding that happened with Irma, they should revise this PPRN from 2011, but only for the flooding and the waves, the sea level. Not for, because the PPRN is for flooding, earthquake, landslides, etc. So the aspect of flooding and the waves, that's what they revise. But there are rules and regulations about those things. There are laws. So for you to do that, there are certain steps that the state had to take locally they did not respect totally, which is to involve the population, have a certain amount of meetings in each village, but to interact, listen to the population, exchange, that didn't happen. So they came and they just said, this is what we're going to do, and impose these things, explain what they're about to do, not giving the population and the local government, as a matter of fact, to give an input. So that was wrong. And after the few meetings, by law again, there are what you call the commissioners, the inquiry commissioners that have to come from abroad. It is the administrative court that nominate them. There are 3 of them that had to come for 1 month. That happened in October, 2019. So they would come, give the population a chance to give their observations, and at the end, which is October 31st, they have another month so they can tell the government, the state, okay, we think that you have to change this based on what the population told us. We think you should back off, you should change, or you should go ahead and implement it, because the government, the state was waiting for these 3 persons to come back to them so by December, the end of December, they can implement this thing for good. And what happened, instead of they saying these 3 people after a month and days, month and weeks, they told the state, go ahead, we don't have no restrictions to give you, just go ahead as you plan. And that happened a few days before December 12th. Now the population was expecting some kind of proposed changes from these people. And instead, they just told the government, go ahead. And that's when everything happened. So we saw just 2 or 3 days after that decision that it was made public. Then they blocked Sanigong, they blocked Grand Cars, French Quarter, they started to burn cars. And so that's how that happened. And today now, as I said, because of all of that, the state did not want to move. They just say, we're not budging. But when they realized how serious it got, they said, okay, we're going to freeze that. We're not going to implement it for 3 months and come back to you, send a delegation from France, and interact with the local government, with the population. They was in Sanagong a few days ago. They met the leaders, a delegation of the people, the organizers of all these blockades. They met the local government. I think they met with some business people. They went to Orion Bay, etc. So they are here on a mission of 10 days. After these 10 days, they're going to go back to France, report to the minister what they found, what they think. I already heard the leader of that delegation saying, we have identified certain things that we should change. But he's not saying, he hasn't said what those things are. So again, the population is hoping that they will take steps to implement changes, and when this thing is now final, it will be to suit the population. Now, I think I should explain what is bothering the population. Maybe in the question I should explain that, right? So there are some rules when it comes for rebuilding your house if it has been demolished and you live in. They have defined zones. They call in some zones blue, some red, and some deep red. The deep red now, if you're in that zone, which is very close to the sea, and your house, for some reason, you have lost your roof and maybe one wall of your house. So you have to put back that wall, put back your roof, and based on these new rules, you can't touch your house. So you have to make sure go live somewhere else. You see, they would not allow you to be, if they get their way. So far, it is not implemented as yet. Then they came up with this thing: if you're in a deep red and red zone, and you have a piece of land that you haven't built on yet, or you had a house that you want to demolish to build a new house, and those you cannot. So it's like you have been expropriated. You would have lost your land, and you have to look for somewhere else to live, some piece of land to buy, or go live in an apartment. So in general, with these new rules, it is a form of expropriating our people. And of course, our people not accepting that. And that's what creating all of this thing. That's why, as I said, I can explain it in a nutshell. That's what's going on.